The next session will deal with the vital topic of using technology for imparting school education, of which Mr. Nilekani spoke just now. It is called Diksha, Enabling Continuity of Schooling and Training in COVID-19 Times. The moderator for the session is Mr. Shankar Maruvada, who is CEO of EkStep Foundation, a philanthropic mission he co-founded in 2015, along with Mr. Nandan Nilekani and Ms. Rohini Nilekani, to improve basic education for 200 million children in India. Shankar has more than 2 decades of experience across the for-profit, not-for-profit, and government sectors. He was part of the startup team at Aadhaar, Government of India's unique identification program set up in 2009. In fact, he was tasked with coming up with an appropriate name and brand for the project, which he did, creating the name Aadhaar and the now ubiquitous logo we are all familiar with. Shankar pioneered data analytics in India through Marketix, a company he co-founded in 2002 and steered to a successful exit. He is an investor in multiple startups and a mentor to entrepreneurs and not-for-profits. Shankar is an alumnus of the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. Shankar, may I request you to introduce the panelists and take the session ahead, please?
Thank you, Ali, for your kind words, and thank you for having me today. A very warm welcome to the audience. I would like to thank you for sacrificing your Saturday morning to watch this panel. In yesterday's scintillating keynote, School Education Secretary Anita Karwal had mentioned about Diksha, about how it's a national platform and it is being used across the country and is an important component of the Prime Minister's e-Vidya program recently launched. And in the just concluded mind-opening keynote, Nandan Nilekani also mentioned about Diksha. This session builds on this theme to explore how Diksha is enabling continuity of schooling and teaching and training. I would like to welcome and introduce the distinguished panelists for the session. First, we have Vijay Kiran Anand. Vijay is the Director General of School Education and State Project Director of Samagra Shiksha in Uttar Pradesh. He is a 2009 batch IAS officer. Prior to this assignment, he was the Kumbh Mela officer responsible for organizing the Kumbh Mela in Prague in 2019. I have had the privilege of listening to his amazing work on how he organized the Kumbh Mela, the world's largest gathering of humanity, and how he ensured an incident-free experience for 2.5 crore pilgrims and visitors. Vijay will be sharing his perspective on how our largest state, Uttar Pradesh, is implementing Diksha. Our second panelist is Dr. Jyoti Gupta. She is a national awardee and an eminent educationist with more than 3 decades of experience. She has been nominated to the governing body of CBSE and the standing committee of NCTE, the National Council for Teacher Education. Currently, she is the director of DPS Saibabad. Today, she'll be talking to us about her experiences with Diksha as a private school leader. Last but not the least, we have Saurabh Chopra, Director of Strategic Projects at Central Square Foundation. He has been leading the foundation's stellar work on Diksha and other strategic projects with the central and state governments. Saurabh has had a unique ringside view of the journey of Diksha from its launch in 2017 till today. The 3 panelists represent 3 important yet diverse pillars of our society, as Nandan talked about: government, private sector, and philanthropy, Sarkar, Bazaar, and Samaj. And I'm sure that their different lenses on Diksha will leave you with a well-rounded perspective. But first, you must get to know about Diksha. And who better to tell us about Diksha than the Secretary of School Education herself, Anita Karwal. She kindly recorded this short video where she talks about the usage of Diksha, its current scale, and the government's future plans. I'll just play it in a moment.
Okay, so Diksha is a digital infrastructure which MHRD works on for uploading its content. Though we started a few years back, it's almost 3 years since we started this platform. What we have been focusing is on preparing energized textbooks. So Diksha is a platform where the audio video content that you see on QR codes of textbooks in 27 states. This QR code has this content in its background. So that content is there on Diksha as of right now. And the scale is really huge. It is unimaginable, actually. Diksha has 1900 textbooks from 27 states in 15 languages, which are energized, which means they are QR coded, and this QR code has content in it. It has 88,000 pieces of content as of today, and the best part is that the content is prepared mostly in-house. We do have a lot of private players also who have contributed. Also, ever since the pandemic, the reach of Diksha is to be seen, to be believed. I believe it has now reached about 90 crore page hits, more than 18 crore scans of the QR codes themselves. So it is really huge, the whole Diksha gamut. So aside from energized textbooks, Diksha also has things like entire modules, for example, for classes 6 to 10 for CBSE board. In some other languages like in Tamil, Marathi, Assamese also, a lot of content is there. So this is with regard to school education. With regard to teacher education also, Diksha has been used during this time extensively. States like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, they have actually put their teacher modules on Diksha. And they adopt a very simple methodology of sending the QR code containing that training module to the concerned teacher, who completes the course by simply receiving the QR code on their mobile phone. And you'll be glad to know that I believe almost 6 lakh teachers just in these 2 states combined have completed teacher training. Aside from this, you would have heard of iGOT, which is an initiative of DOPT for training modules, online training modules for government servants. iGOT, during this interim period after the pandemic, decided to, upload training programs for Corona warriors, in particular for the entire country, because we needed them in large numbers and they needed to be trained and they needed to be aware of the pandemic. So these courses have been uploaded on Diksha. And this happened barely 30 to 40 days back, and today 20 lakh people have been trained and certified through Diksha as Corona warriors, who have been made aware of the pandemic and of the responses that are expected from them. So these are just examples. There are many, many other ways in which Diksha is being used.
Okay.
We have a lot of plans. We realized once this pandemic came that, what children look for when they are sitting at home is modules. So far we had been focusing on content behind the QR code and some modules related to every chapter of the textbooks. But children are actually looking for complete modules, which means they're looking for the portion that will aid them in the textbook. They are looking at explanation videos. They're looking for explanations for their hard spots. They're looking for tests, assessments. They are also looking for a dashboard which could tell them, okay, this is where you are, you need to complete this much. And some kind of certification when they have completed the course, so that the school also knows, okay, this part of their syllabus is completed. So we are calling it Schooling at Home, and this will be launched shortly, this part of the development of Diksha. We are also looking at other interesting things like chatbots, because children love to interact through these different mediums. So we are looking at that. We are also looking at integration of content on various modes of delivery. So Diksha is one mode of delivery. If the same content can be integrated, let us say, with a TV channel or with a radio channel or with a podcast, it standardizes the kind of content that every child is having access to, and the equity factor kicks in, and that is what we are looking at. So these are some of the things we are working on, aside from, of course, working on a learning outcomes based approach for moving towards competency based education, and bringing in that kind of content on Diksha.
So we listened to Anita Karwal, School Education Secretary, talk about Diksha, but how is it being used in the various states? I now invite Vijay Kiran Anand to talk about his implementation and his plans in Uttar Pradesh, our largest state. Vijay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Shankar. Thank you so much for the organizers for this opportunity to share our experience in UP. We are very happy to do that. In UP, the UP state government launched two ambitious flagship initiatives. One in June 2018 on upgradation of school infrastructure, wherein it also included smart schools, digital learning, and so on. And another flagship initiative last year in 2019 on teachers, on the eve of Teachers' Day, where the Honorable Chief Minister declared that we will have the entire state being a Prerak Pradesh by March 2022. And the entire framework was to achieve foundation learning goals for grade 1 to grade 5 on a defined Prerna Lakshya for goals in language and maths. And the entire framework was to be measured by independent third-party assessment agencies, block being the unit of declaration and nomination and certification, and the entire state and all the districts being declared as Prerak Pradesh, something what was launched now as a foundation literacy and numeracy goal for the entire nation. And one of the key aspects of that was data-driven governance in education and digital learning, and that is where Diksha comes in. And and one of the frameworks of the framework, one of the key components of the framework in Mission Prerna was moving into and migrating to a digital platform. And that is why UP government decided to go big on Diksha, massive outreach programs, massive adoption, massive capacity building, and so on. And we've had exciting results, very promising results, and over the last 1 year. And this moment of the COVID-19 situation has actually turned out to be an opportunity, never after opportunity for us to ensure further acceleration of this program for us. So I would like to share our experience in the state. The UP, as you know, is the biggest state in terms of in education sector as well, with 75 districts, 1.65 lakh schools, and 5.75 lakh government public school teachers. And in public schools, we have 1.8 crore students studying, and also almost equal number in the private schools as well. So we are focusing on two areas. One is the student-facing content and adoption in Diksha platform, and also teacher-facing content and professional development for both government and private teachers on the platform. So far we've had in-house content being developed in a very systematic manner. We have a in-house content cell developed. We are further enhancing the infrastructure and the manpower deployed therein, and also we have tied up with 15+ partners who have helped us on capacity building and content building, primarily Pratams of the world, the Khan Academy of the world, and the Tic Tac Learning of the world, and 4,000+ videos which are mapped to every chapter in the UPSCRT curriculum. Of that, around 30 to 35% by in-house teachers through crowdsourcing and capacity building and competition between the teachers. This content, good quality content, has been uploaded. Each of the textbooks and chapters are mapped to QR scans. QR codes, and adoption has been seeing massive acceleration therein. So each of our textbooks are energized textbooks. All 114 textbooks are energized since last 1 year. We have done massive outreach for Diksha to be adopted across all the platforms like radio, television, newspapers, teachers WhatsApp groups, and so on. We have like each block we have a WhatsApp group being run through here, and then we have 1 lakh plus WhatsApp groups run by teachers. So any information, any content is circulated through WhatsApp both ways, and it is always dynamic and real time. So massive content building and available access to this kind of content to the platform is achieved in a state like UP. And then we decided last year that all our teacher trainings will be through online. In-service training will be through online through Diksha platform. And we did a pilot with our Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya teachers. We had around 5,000 teachers there, and the adoption was very good. The teachers voluntarily did did a lot of courses and completed the certification. And now during this lockdown, we opened it up for all the public school teachers, and we've had exciting results. 2 lakh teachers have enrolled, and 90,000 teachers course completions have been achieved. Around 50% have been achieved, and teachers have their experiences have been documented. And we have found that they've had wonderful experiences going through them, and capacity building and flattening of the opportunity is achieved in this through the platform. So this is an example of how we are sharing the content every day. We are actually sending content for the students, chapter wise, exercise wise, class wise. At the same time, teachers are also given content on all the WhatsApp 1 lakh plus WhatsApp groups that have been run from here, and one training video is also circulated per day. So the figures and the scale is quite good, although for the state of UP, we have the potential to actually reach out to much more bigger numbers. So we've almost crossed 1 crore content plays over the last 1 year, and the content playtime is also, average playtime is also seeing a manifold increase. Now the plan is on 5th September, after 1 year of the Mission Prerna, we would want to completely migrate from a manual training, from the block level manual training, where there are issues like absenteeism, motivation, morale levels, capacity of the master trainer, too much reliance on master trainers, and so on. So good quality content available. Completely we are migrating to in-service training to on the platform for certification, assessment, and also robust analytics in the backend through Diksha platform. So the preparations are on. We are seeing good results, and something like a learning passbook is being contemplated for each teacher and each student when we migrate into this online teacher training and capacity building and professional development for the teachers. It will be a game changer and a major step forward for the achievement of the learning outcomes and the foundation learning goals that the state has envisaged by March 2022. Another big ticket plan that we have is we have had experience with around 5,000 schools converting themselves into smart schools with digital learning, and the experience has been very fabulous in terms of learning level achievements, in terms of student learning outcomes, following up on the lesson plans and the content, and so on. So what we have decided is we are going to run Diksha through smart classes by deploying a smart TV, a simple TV with an Android box or a smart TV. We're running the Diksha content inbuilt in the lesson plan, inbuilt in the weekly calendar, daily timetable, and so on. And this content will be displayed. There are many models which we are exploring and working on, either through the CSE model or the teacher himself running it through, or we are also supplying a tablet.
So in the spirit of being resilient, let us recover from this disturbance, as Nandan said, and try to keep going. When Vijayji comes back, we will continue his session. So what you heard from Vijay partially is how the state system is using it. And you also heard Anitaji talk about how the central government is thinking about it. but what is the role of the private sector in it? How can people contribute? Let's again listen to a short video from Anita Karwal ji on this.
So, for contributing to Diksha, we have an excellent initiative. It was started last year in September, in August rather, and it is called Vidyadan, where Vidyadan, what it means is donation of knowledge. Okay. So in this Vidyadan, what we did was we invited in the first version schools of CBSE to contribute to for the contribute content, the best kind of content that they have prepared themselves or they are able to contribute. So in that phase, we were able to get excellent content for classes 6 to 10 for CBSE affiliated schools. Then we realized that how well it works, because at that time almost 100 schools got together to give us this content. So we have now come out with Vidyadan version 2, where there is a very, very systematic kind of a structure in which any person, any organization, private or otherwise, any school, any expert, any educationist who would like to contribute content related to certain baskets, certain grades, certain subjects, can actually drop the content there. And then it gets curated, it gets checked by our team, and once it is accepted, there is also acknowledgement on the Diksha website. And this Vidyadan version 2, you'll be happy to know we launched it somewhere around, I think, last week of April, and we opened it only for 20 days. We have already received nominations of 2,100 players, both public and private, individual and organizations, to contribute content. So now we are in the process of looking at the content, curating, etc. So this is one way people can contribute when different states open their Vidyadan. So presently, I believe Assam and Uttar Pradesh Vidyadan contributions are open. Similarly, other states will come through and open in different languages. So educationists and others can contribute to this. The other way, what I feel is that teachers in particular and the teaching community in particular can take the content on Diksha to the houses of the students, engage with the parents, show them how to use it, how to enhance the learning levels of their children, and use it extensively. It's an open source, free app as compared to the hundreds of other apps which are there, on commercial terms. And here is a place where you don't even have to register. Your privacy is taken care of. We don't ask for any data. We don't want your name. We don't want to know who you are. So it's a very reliable content which is being sort of prepared and curated and uploaded by government organizations. So would like to request the whole school education community to engage all stakeholders by building their capacities to use Diksha.
So I now request Dr. Jyoti Gupta to share with us her experiences of Diksha as a private school leader.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really humbled to be a part of this session, Shankar. Thank you for having me here and for giving me an opportunity to contribute the best practices that we've created over these years. I started digitizing the entire content of teaching learning, right from the lesson plan to the lesson transactions, to the assignments, to everything a couple of years back. And when Anita Karwal ma'am saw this content, I had a session with her where I showed her the entire content. And she was very impressed by the work that was done by the school teachers. And that is when ma'am had asked us if we would be willing to share what we've created in our school with the rest of the country. we weren't preparing for a pandemic like this, but there were some learning gaps which were there in the in the school, and we felt that it was the time for the anytime anywhere learning, and that is when we started digitizing the entire content, and we had the entire content with us, the entire resource with us, the starting from the lesson plans to the PowerPoint presentations to the videos to the concept maps to the assignments and everything. So when ma'am saw everything put together on one platform, that is when she spoke about Diksha to us. That time the term Vidyadan had also not been coined in, and we were willing to contribute to Diksha. And then it was that whatever we are doing in the schools, we should be able to, as good schools, contribute for the rest of the country. So, this had motivated. Since morning, we've been listening to Mr. Salman Khan and Mr. Nilankani, and everybody has talked about the soft boundaries of the schools and as to how the last child in the country should also be benefiting by what is happening in the world around. So it is the best of the content that is not just available for your own school, even for your own teacher. She should not be just dependent upon what she knows. There can be a lot of resource that can be available for the teachers to professionally develop from, and also they should be able to get a different perspective of the other teachers as well. So the digitization of the entire teaching and learning process for anytime anywhere learning, and reducing the learning gaps through the enriched pedagogies, through the lesson plans, through the lesson transactions, to the explanation videos, PPTs, question banks, competency-based items, the focus points, the puzzles, the games, the worksheets across all subjects, grades, and mediums. This is what we had put together, and we contributed to the Vidyadan. And here I would like to share with everybody that the sharing of the content actually gave a lot of exposure to our own teachers. There was a lot of professional development that was happening at their end. The teachers were getting a voice. The teacher who is only teaching her 40 children in the classroom and is only dealing with those 40 children and is only there in her own school, got an opportunity to share her best practices, her teaching techniques, her pedagogy, her assignments, with the credit given to her with the entire country. And it was not just her name, it was also the school's name that was reflecting on the platform. So the teachers were very, very careful of what they wanted to upload. They were very careful about the transaction in the videos. And I have to share that suddenly there was this competition between the teachers, and they wanted to give their best, they wanted to do their best. And when the pilot was tested with a few schools and we got the positive results that the content was really good, that is when we were motivated even further. And last 5th of September 2019, we were also awarded by the Honorable Minister, and 4 schools who had contributed the maximum for the Vidyadan to begin were awarded, and very happy to share that we were amongst one of the 4, and probably the school which had contributed the most towards the Vidyadan. And this is one platform that enriches and develops the teachers for the entire process. And it is actually the self-directed learning for the children as well, and the self-directed and self-motivated learning for the teachers as well. Because a teacher can never stop learning. She has to be a constant learner herself. So we cannot be teaching the children through the 19th century or the 20th century techniques. The children who we are dealing with are the 21st century children, are already in the college today. and the way they learn is very, very different. We have to prepare them for different skills, because if we do not do that, then the prediction is that in 5 years' time, all the jobs that exist today are not going to exist anymore, or there would be new opportunities for the people. And we can see this in the COVID times. It's going to be the pre-COVID and the post-COVID. So the teachers have to be motivated to constantly upgrade themselves, and the children have to be motivated to move towards the self-directed learning, where the teacher becomes a guide and by the side, and not a sage on the stage. And also, I would say that the schools should come forward, and they should also contribute. Good schools should contribute towards the Vidyadan, because our being a good school should not be that we would want to not share our intellectual property with the rest of the country. This is the time to move ahead together, and so we should be sharing, we should be able to share all our best practices and pedagogies with the rest of the country. And also the private schools are also using Vidyadan as a user school. So the content, there are schools which are new schools which do not have all the resources. The entire country is not just the schools in the metro cities. There are schools, whether they are CBSE schools or there are state schools, they are all across the country. So they do not have the available resources. So these resources which have been put together through the Vidyadan on the Diksha platform, they can be used by all the children and all the teachers, because it has been curated by the expert teachers. They have been contributed. There are different layers at which the content is curated and reviewed, and it is put together. And also one is able to articulate the learning outcomes for the children. What are the learning objectives for the teachers, and what are the learning outcomes for the students? So there are enriched pedagogies, there are lesson plans. As I said earlier, there are explanation videos, there are PPTs, there are question banks, there are competency-based items, and they are at different levels. There are schools which want to use the experiential learning lesson plans, they can do that. The schools which want to use the competency-based, joyful-based lesson plans, they can do that. There are other schools who want to use just the a part of it, they can use that also. The teachers can adopt or they can adapt the content from the rich repository of the e-learning content that is there on Diksha. And the children who are actually devoid of any resources can also go directly to the portal and they can start learning. So that has been my journey with Diksha and with Vidyadan, and I would really thank both the CBSE as well as the Ekstep Foundation for have given me this opportunity to become a part of their journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti Gupta. I'm sure your experiences will inspire many more in the audience to engage with and contribute to Diksha and Vidyadan. So Vijay, I think has got his connectivity back. So I'll request him to continue where he got interrupted. Vijay ji.
Yeah, so sorry for that interruption last time. So I was basically sharing the plans that we have for Diksha in the state. And one of the things that we are planning, which we believe is going to be a game changer for us, is going to be that we are going to deploy a smart TV on every school, beginning with every school through community participation, through the Operation Kayakal program. When we launched the largest convergence program in the country in June 2018, we've had fabulous results in infrastructure upgradation. A lot of people contributing, CSR agencies contributing, Gram Panchayats coming forward and helping us rebuild infrastructure in the schools. And 5,000 plus smart schools are already working in the school. And from their experience, we've learned for everything. And we're going to deploy this smart TV, a normal TV with an Android box. We are also looking at partnering with citizen service centers, young boys who are working there as business correspondents and government service providers to run these smart plazas. Different models we are trying. We are keeping it open for everybody. The school management committees, the teachers, the communities there can decide any of the 3 or 4 options that we are giving, and deploying this and running Diksha content. We are also having tablets given into every school. The bid process is on for that. And once we have this tablet, we have digital learning as part of the curriculum, part of the daily timetable. 1 or 2 periods run everywhere, and this good quality, high quality content is available for these students to run through, and the community can decide to work around this in the ecosystem, and the possibilities are immense once we achieve this. And we plan to do this over the next 2 years, and see, we have also learned from other states who have had, like Tamil Nadu, who have had a lot of good experience with respect to this kind of a model. We are also going big way on the Vidyadan initiative. We just had a massive exercise of asking all the teachers to come up with good quality content. We got really high quality 250 plus videos, and we have selected 50 plus teachers who are very good, who have natural talent for content building like this, who have had a lot of experience, and we want to draw out of this experience. They are going to be the core team of our content cell, which we are going to develop here. And once we do that, that will be the fulcrum around which we will have a robust content, crowdsourced, working with the partners, building their content in-house through creative agencies, through our experienced teachers, our academic core group, and so on. And this team will be actually doing the content validation, the monitoring, and ensuring that whatever is provided in the portal goes through the relevant guidelines as decided by Government of India and adopted by the state. And that is where we are focusing on going for the next level of content building and adoption through the Vidyadan initiative as well. So this is very much in alignment with the MHRD and the Government of India's framework. So we already, as I told you, we already have launched the flagship initiative on foundation literacy and numeracy mission called Mission Prerna. March 22 is the deadline that the state has decided. And Diksha and Regional Earning Initiative is going to be one of the critical components to achieve that achievement of learning outcomes and goals that have been decided in Prerna Suchi. And both the components of teacher professional development through Diksha, we've always had struggle over the years. We've been doing teacher training over the last 20 years. And frankly, we've had mixed results on that. So we've had a lot of issues with respect to that, high cost, less return, and so on. We are hoping that this initiative, this intervention, this disruption is going to help us get that high return of investment for teacher capacity building, because teacher is the core of this entire ecosystem. And once we achieve that, I'm sure there will be a healthy environment, there will be a competitive environment amongst teachers, and with my experience in the field, I can say that once we have that kind of a atmosphere, then the learning outcome achievement will just be a matter of time. I thank the XSTEP team and the organizers for giving the state of UP this opportunity. Very happy to be part of this and get these learnings and sharing of the best practices. I just saw Jyotiji's presentation. It was very inspiring. And we hope that we will, in the next 1 year, we would be achieving all the goals that we have set up, particularly in terms of this portal and adoption, and also in terms of teacher professional development. And we will be ensuring that we are achieving those results for making the state Prerak Pradesh by March 2022. Shankar, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vijayji. It's an interesting point that you made, Vijayji, that Uttar Pradesh is learning from Tamil Nadu and other states. There was a question in the earlier keynote to Nandan as to how can schools learn from each other. And one of the things that Nandan said is that governments are actually leading the way. And here you've also shown that not just schools, but governments are talking to each other, sharing best practices and learning. Uttar Pradesh is learning from Tamil Nadu. Likewise, many other states are talking to each other, comparing notes, cooperating, learning, and innovation from one state is rapidly flowing to another state. That was extremely inspiring. So we've heard a lot about the scale of Diksha, lots of plans from the central government, state government, and also private school. But there are 3 other crucial stakeholders whose voices we have not heard today: the children, the teachers, and the parents. Let us listen to them directly in this short video, which was put together by MHRD.
जब मैं कभी भी कोई किताब पढ़ता था तो मुझे कम समझ में आते थे, तो मैंने जब मानव के पोषण के बारे में QR कोड से स्कैन किया तो उसमें देखा कि उसमें डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम बताया, तो मुझे तो पहले मुंह के बारे में पता था। फिर जब मैंने देखा पूरा वीडियो तो उसमें पाचन क्रिया ये भी बताया कि इस अंग में पाचन क्रिया होती है। और मैं यहाँ से जाता हूँ घर पे तो QR कोड से स्कैन करके जंतुओं के पोषण के बारे में जानकारी प्राप्त की है।
पहले जब मैं क्लासेस करती थी तो मुझे काफ़ी सारी दिक्कतें होती थी, क्योंकि बच्चों को मुझे TLM बना के लाना पड़ता था, या फिर मैं बना के जितना मैं अपने से दे सकती थी उनको देती थी, बट वो विजुअलाइज नहीं कर पाते थे। बच्चों को मैं जब वीडियो दिखाती हूँ तो वो लोग ऑडियो और वीडियो के वजह से अच्छे से समझ पाते हैं कंटेंट को।
हमको इंग्लिश पढ़ने में बहुत दिक्कत होती थी और हमारा प्रोनाउंसिएशन अच्छा नहीं था। जब हमने दीक्षा ऐप से QR कोड को स्कैन किया तो उसमें प्रोनाउंसिएशन बहुत ही अच्छे से समझा रहे थे तो हमको बहुत अच्छा लगा, उससे मैंने इंग्लिश पढ़ना सीख ली।
टीचर ने पढ़ा दिया, उसके बाद नहीं बच्चे पढ़ पाते हैं, कोई चीज़ को भूल रहे हैं। अब तो टीचर से बोलने में शर्म लगती है, इसलिए इस पर वीडियो पर भी अपना देख करके उसको काम को पूरा कर सकते हो, पढ़ सकते।
It feels great to use contents from some of the best teachers and schools from the country. Now I have more ideas for my classroom.
The entire class transaction, right from the lesson plans to the mind maps to the videos, everything was created as an online content, and it was shared. Essentially, the idea was that whatever our children were benefiting, we can contribute this for the larger cause of the country, and all the children and all the teachers will be able to use this content.
कंटेंट पीस बनाए तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि यही वह प्लेटफॉर्म है जिसके माध्यम से बच्चों को बहुत अच्छी विषय वस्तु मिलेगी। मुझे हमारे क्षेत्र के बहुत से टीचर्स, स्टूडेंट्स और पेरेंट्स से प्रोत्साहन मिलता है, प्रेरणा मिलती है, वीडियोस अच्छे बने हैं।
So with that, we end the presentations, and I will now throw the floor open for questions. There's a whole bunch of questions. And Saurabh, what I will do is I'll combine a few of these questions so that we can answer as many questions as possible in the remaining time. There's a whole bunch of questions around content and connectivity. Now, you've, as I said, had a ringside view of Diksha. So in your journey, can you talk to us about the evolution of Diksha in terms of the number of languages in it, the types of content in it, and how does Diksha handle poor connectivity, weak connectivity in terms of rural areas?
Sure. Thank you, Shankar. So I've been very, very fortunate to be part of the Diksha journey. So about 3 years back is when Diksha actually was formally started by MHRD. And it started with 3 states. So we had Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra, who were the first states to actually, digitize their textbooks or energize their textbooks by putting QR codes in the textbooks. So, like you saw in the video, if you're a kid in Assam, and if you scan your science textbook on photosynthesis, you probably see a chapter explaining the concept of photosynthesis in Assamese. So it becomes very easy for them to understand. And from those 3 states, now we have almost all states in the country who've energized their textbooks. This is, we're talking about 500 million unique textbook copies, and every textbook would have, say, between 15 to 20 QR codes. So we're talking about 7.5 billion QR codes. I mean, that's the population of the world. So, and each of those QR codes can be, are tracked. And every time there's a scan, we know that there's a scan which is happening there. So that's the scale of Diksha. We're talking about all states. We're talking about 15 different languages. So content is available on in 15 different languages. So that's where we are. I mean, besides that, of course, there's been a lot of evolution in terms of the kind of features and the kind of use cases. If you talk about even the QR codes are something that have been there for a while, even in the financial services space. But these QR codes have actually been built for education. So every QR code has a 6-digit alphanumeric code below the QR code, which is called a dial code. Because states told us that they have smart classes also, and where it's easier to show the content via the computer or the smart screen instead of via the mobile phone. So this dial code can be entered on the Diksha website by teachers, and teachers can show content to the students. Teacher training has become a huge use case, right? May and June are the month where most states do their teacher training programs, which were not possible this year, of course, because of COVID. But states have trained 6 lakh teachers in the last 7 to 8 weeks on Diksha, and there might be definitely there are advantages of offline training over online training, but the kind of cost savings plus the kind of accountability, and also making sure we're targeting the teachers correctly with training, that's definitely superior in an online version. So that's that. And coming to the questions of challenges in terms of poor connectivity, so Diksha has been built with the premise that it should cater to all smartphones, even the lower end smartphones. So all content is actually made to be less than 50 MB. So in case it's a larger piece of content, it's broken down, so content can be downloaded easily and even streamed easily. Besides that, there are multiple different features with the obviously the core premise that everybody should be able to use it right now.
Thank you, Saurabh. There's another very interesting question, Jyoti ji. Why should prescribed textbooks remain so desperately important?
Well, till the content will stay important in our curriculum, the textbooks will stay important. So in the evening today, the CBSE chairperson is talking about competency-based education. And Karwal ma'am also spoke about it. So anyways, we all have to move towards the competency-based education, where the skills and competencies will take precedence, and they will be more important. The content will not be all that important in some time to come. Anyways, today for information, the children are not just dependent upon the teachers. They can take the information from anywhere. So the learning actually is not happening through the content, but it is happening, the prescribed content, but it is happening from all over. So I'm very sure in the times to come, the prescribed textbooks will not be as important as the building of the skills and competencies in the children.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Jyoti ji.
So that's what I was saying, that the textbooks, while they are important now, they wouldn't be important, soon later on. So it's more important that the teachers are able to plan their lessons based on the competencies and the skills and the learning outcomes. And because the content is the same all across the world. Mathematics is the same all across the world. Science is the same all across the world. The prescribed content is only used in subjects like literature, where the children are supposed to probably read a particular chapter or a particular story. But at the end of the day, that story is not important. What is important is whether the children are able to comprehend what was supposed to be said in that story, and later on they can produce or reproduce, or are able to create, are able to apply the knowledge that they so gained. So the textbooks are not going to be very important, in some time to come, is what I want to say.
Okay. Thank you, Jyotiji. Vijayji, there's a question for you. Were there any changes in how Diksha program was running after the COVID outbreak?
Yeah. The teacher professional development thing, we have had initiated that before the thing. But we were actually not sure on how to go about it. But this provided an opportunity, and that is where we grabbed onto that. And the teacher professional development module, and we've had a lot of learnings when we did it on the pilot for the Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya. We have 5,000 plus teachers in the Kasturba girls residential schools. And based on that learning, we are actually drawing out for the regular public school teachers. And that is where we've had good numbers and adoption. And now we are going big full scale on that, and migrating fully for the in-service training. So that is one part. And second part is the experience because it was a major disruption when the lockdown happened, the schools got closed. So we had to adopt every medium for digital learning. We have 4 hours sessions in Doordarshan. We have radio for people who don't have smartphones. We also have these WhatsApp group networks, giving e-books and so on the website, and banking big time on Diksha to ensure that, and we've seen a lot of increase in adoption. Earlier, there was a little bit of resistance that from some vested groups that digital learning is going to replace the teachers and so on. So now this has actually accelerated and rubbished all those concerns which were not genuine. So now we are seeing full-scale adoption across all stakeholders like parents, teachers, and students.
Thank you, Vijayji. We are almost out of time. So I'll just do a rapid fire now. Sort of 4 more questions coming your way all around content. Before that, there's a frequent asked question on iOS version of Diksha app. A quick answer, since iOS is only on 5% of mobile devices, the app on that has not yet been prepared. But if you're on an iOS device, you can access Diksha via the browser. That's a short answer to that. Now, sort of the 4 questions coming your way. Does Diksha provide lectures for life skills, etc.? Is there any course developed for teachers to get training? I am a consultant for art education. Is there a way I can contribute to this area? And lastly, how is content contributed, assessed, and curated? Okay. So I want to contribute various kinds of content, and how is it all curated?
Yes. So, starting with the life skills part, so that's a new addition to Diksha. Earlier it was all focused on academics and the textbook. But this year, given the COVID situation, some states, and I'll give the example of the state of Gujarat, they wanted to focus a lot on the socio-emotional learning of kids and life skills. So they did a big campaign on Diksha where the content was, created around these domains and shared with students via Diksha. In terms of content contribution, Vidya Dan, in fact, we can put up the link at the end of the session. Individuals can go to Vidya Dan, individuals or organizations, they can register themselves. They can put up some sample content. Once their registrations are approved, then they will contribute content. There is a team, both at the central level and at the state levels, who will review the content and certify it if it comes on Diksha. So that's the whole journey. So that's when your content can come on Diksha, and then the states can choose to link it with their energized textbooks. So this is the link, so these are the links. The first link is for downloading the Diksha app. It's the, it's an Android app right now. It was the #1 app in India for, then there's the website, diksha.gov.in. And the last link is the link to contribute on Vidyadan. That's vdn.diksha.gov.in.
Okay. Thank you, Saurabh. You have taken the burden of answering the most questions in the shortest time. So with that, I would like to thank the panelists for a wonderful, educating, enlightening session. Also, thank Anita Karwal ma'am in absentia and MHRD for the video. Thanks to the audience for a patient listening and your questions. And last but not least, Ashoka University for organizing this wonderful seminar at this much needed time where all of us are coming together to share, all of us are coming together to learn. Thank you.